Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books. I am in a hotel room in South Africa right now, in Johannesburg. I mentioned previously on my channel that I was coming here for work for 2 weeks, and I had some videos already pre-recorded and edited and uploaded for this first week. But for next week, I don't have anything, so I figured I would film here. And forgive me if the audio is weird. I'm using natural lighting, so that should be fine. I have my mic like laying on the back of a chair right here, and I'll take a picture and put it in the video of my camera setup. I should have brought my tripod. I don't know why I didn't, because like it compacts into like a short little version that could have fit in my bag. I don't know what I was thinking. So I've actually been wanting to post an updated video talking about how I rate books because I have changed it slightly. I think when I posted my original video about it, I think I had a little bit more limited half-star options, and now I have some more. And recently I also adjusted the qualifications for something to go from 2.5 to 3. So I just wanted to do a little chat about this. Rating books to me is just such a personal thing. It's very subjective. I know people who rate very highly. Almost every other book they read, they're rating it 4 or 5 stars. And then when they talk about a 3-star book, it's almost like they didn't like it. Whereas for me, 3 is like pretty even-keeled. Like nothing was horrible about this book. Maybe nothing was super great about it, but I liked it generally. Like I had a decent enough time reading it, and there were probably some elements that I really did enjoy quite a bit. So I very rarely give out 5. 5 to me is like favorite books, like favorite books of all time. So I feel like sometimes I'm a little, I don't want to say harsh, but I'm a little strict, not even stricter, because that makes it sound like people are like loose and free with it. But you know, it's just my interpretation of what is considered a 4 or 5 is different as anybody's is gonna be, you know? And then on the opposite end, I hear people sometimes talk about a 2-star read, and it's almost like they sound like they kind of liked it, and they're like, it wasn't terrible. For me, that's like, this is pretty awful. So I have a little system here, which I adopted from the Book Roast. G at the Book Roast has this like elaborate setup, and I really liked it. I previously didn't really have my own kind of qualifications for how I was rating books, but I wanted something a little more structured because I like that. And then I saw her video talking about it, which I will link obviously. And I kind of changed it a little bit to fit like what I personally want. I'm just gonna hold my laptop in front of me because that's just way easier. So I have a spreadsheet which I have shared before. I'll have that linked below too if you guys care, because I also track quite a bit. So yeah, I'll talk about that too. I track the number of books read on the spreadsheet, the month that I read it. Even though I don't do monthly wrap-ups, I still like to keep track of how many books I read in a month on average and whatnot. The title, the author name, if there's POC representation, LGBT, QIA plus representation, mental health rep, neurodiversity rep, disability rep, and then the type, whether it's like a novel or short story collection, stuff like that, poetry, the age group or age genre, then the just genre of it, the format, meaning if it was an audiobook, an ebook, a physical book, and then if it was a physical book I owned or a physical book from the library, it's so on and so forth. So for any library book, I also keep track of how much money I'm saving by using the library. So like for this year, I have saved $287.32. And the way I do that is just whatever book it is and whatever format. I just go on Amazon and see what the current price is if you bought it brand new. Then I keep track of whether or not it's a reread, and if it's the first reread, second, third, or fourth, or more. And then the rating, and then I also keep track of if it was for a readathon or for a buddy read. So my entire rating scale is subjective. All rating to me is subjective. I do think that writing itself can be objectively good or bad. Just sentence structure, grammar, the complexity of it. You know, forgive me if you love Twilight with your whole heart and you think that the writing is good. I'm sorry, the writing itself is not good in Twilight. It's just not. But does that mean that Twilight is objectively a bad book? Absolutely not. I don't believe that. I really don't. I think that one element of it can be bad, but it's going to resonate with some people still, no matter what. So that's kind of where I see that. I do think writing can be objectively bad. That is heavily debatable also, though, like what is objectively bad or good in writing, aside from spelling, grammar, and shit like that. That being said, these categories that I use to rate books, all of this is my opinion, right? When I'm rating, so I have the categories I have are the characters. So what I mean by that is, did I connect with the characters? And do I feel like they were complex, well-written characters? Do I feel like they had depth to them? And the whole part of whether or not I connect with the character, that's entirely personal. That is entirely personal. And then world building. For me, what I'm saying with this is, especially for fantasy, which is primarily what I read, was the world interesting? Was it, did I understand it? Did I have a clear picture of it? You know what I mean? Do I understand what the landscape looks like? Do I understand what the castle looks like, or the house looks like, or whatever, or the people? And if there's magic involved, did I understand the magic system, and was it clear, and was it interesting or unique? It's just a multitude of things. Just basically, did I like the world building? And that's what I mean when I say, did I like it? Did these things qualify? The writing style, so this is, the writing style or the authorial voice, my new favorite thing since hearing Mara say it. But that's what it means, do you like the way the author writes this book? I'll Give You the Sun is a great example of a book where that authorial voice, that writing style is, it's my shit. I love it. I love it so much. But other people have a difficulty with it. They're like, this is completely nonsensical and doesn't make sense. And that's what I like about it. But again, it's very subjective. Plot, and for me, I'm grading based on if the plot to me made sense, and if things that were happening in the plot were relevant to the rest of the story, to the book. If there's a bunch of meandering nonsense that I didn't think was really relevant and needed to be in there, I'm going to rate it lower for the plot. Memorable/impact. This one I've debated changing because sometimes it can be hard to say. Right after I read a book, maybe it's a little memorable, but 6 months from now, is it going to be? I don't know until that happens. But that's what I'm basically trying to gauge is, am I going to remember this freaking book? Like if someone asks me later, oh, what happened in that book? Am I going to be like, fuck, I don't really know, honestly. Or am I going to be like, oh my God, so this happened and this happened and this is the character's name and blah, 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 blah. And then enjoyment, just pure, did I have a good time reading this? All of this is incredibly personal, and none of it is me objectively saying, oh, this is a good or a bad book. And for me, I see people struggle with this sometimes. Booktubers wanting to, review like correctly, right? And some people just say, fuck it, I'm not going to do ratings like my good friend Elle. She doesn't say fuck it, but she doesn't do ratings because it's just, it can be a lot. And you don't have to do it like this, of course. Most people, I think, just are like, did I like it? Did I not like it? What star rating am I going to give it? But she doesn't even want to mess with that because it can be just, it's so up in the air. And then I see other people kind of struggle with wanting to make sure they're reviewing, properly for their viewers. But I find that most viewers, from what I can tell, at least people who are subscribed to you regularly and they watch your videos regularly, they want your opinion. They care about what you think about the books. And that's why they're watching and that's why they're listening to you. Maybe they have similar tastes. So if you say you like a book, they're like, oh, I know I'm probably going to like this too. And so that's kind of why I do ratings entirely personally, entirely subjectively, because I think that's kind of the only way you can really do it honestly. And when I'm giving a review or a book chat, I will mention if I think the writing was objectively good or bad. That doesn't happen that often though. I feel like it takes a lot for me to say like, this was poor writing. Like just from a technical standpoint, this was very poor writing. It takes a lot for me to feel that way. Because most of the time, books that I'm reading are traditionally published and they've gone through the editing process, and while there might be aspects of them that I think are like, wow, someone really approved this, the technical aspect of the writing is good. It's good enough, you know what I mean? There have been a couple of like NetGalley self-published arcs I've read where the technical aspects were not good, which I will mention. It's not like I'm going to ignore that or not talk about it, but my star ratings are very much based on what I felt about the book. So what I do is I rate each of these categories 1 to 10. And I like doing this 1 to 10 because I just think it gives you so much more room to play with it. It's much more freeing than a 1 to 5. So I do each individual thing 1 to 10, and I get the average. There's a formula on the thing. So I take that 1 to 10, the overall 1 to 10, and I have a scale. So the star conversion, if on the 1 to 10 it gets a 0 to 1, then that's no rating, and that like never happens. 1.1 up through 2.2 is a 1 star, and to me that is, I hated it. I almost never have 1 stars because if I'm reading, I've said this before, if I'm reading a book and I'm feeling that way about it, I'm just DNFing it. 2.3 up to 4.5 is a 2, which is I severely disliked, bordering on hate. 4.6 up through 5.2 is a 2.5, and that is aggressively meh. Like, there were parts of this that were probably kind of bad in my opinion, and it was just very not it. Dark Dawn was the book that changed the conversion on this, because I used to have it up to 4.6 to 5, I had it 4.6 to 4.9, I think. I don't remember, but I changed it because 2.5 is halfway through the 1 to 5 star rating, right? And to me, 4.6 up through 5.2, that's like right there in that halfway through range. And then 5.3 to 6.5 would be 3 stars, which is perfectly fine. Maybe I liked certain things. Maybe I didn't love other things, but I didn't hate anything about it. And, something can be on the lower end of that scale, 5.3, or on the higher end with a 6.5, and that's kind of a different read. That's why I always give my 1 to 10 scale and the star rating. And then 6.6 to 6.9 is 3.5, which is, I liked it quite a bit, but I didn't love it necessarily. 7 through 7.9 is 4. I loved it. 8.0 to 8.9 is 4.5. This is so great. Loved it so much. Like, almost perfection for me. And then 9.0 up through 10 is 5 stars, which is essentially perfection in my opinion. So that is all for my rating system. Let me know in the comments below if this sounds super, like, just way too much, or if you are like me and all of the little categories and everything sound delightful. I'll have the spreadsheet linked below again, and you can change it up however you want, change up the different categories however you want, but yeah, if you like it, enjoy, utilize it. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.